Well, the European Union in this case is victim, so to speak, of its own success. The post-89 story was that it helped to democratize, to stabilize, to anchor democracy in East Central Europe by the promise of integration. And this has been done through conditionality, and this is a well-known story, and the question was, first of all, is it lasting? We can see in some cases like Hungary that even after you join, you may regress. But the main question is, can you continue? Can you extend this model of basically helping to transform? It was called the transformative power of the European Union. Can you extend this idea of democratization through non-violent means simply by the attraction of being included in the European process? And Ukraine is a kind of test case. Incidentally, this is a major difference between Eastern and Southern neighborhood. We must not forget EU has two neighborhoods, and both have imploded at the same time. The Arab Spring and what has followed, you know, the winter of the colonels or the Islamists, depending, and Ukraine in these. The big difference between the Southern neighborhood and the Eastern is not the gravity of the threat. The threat is enormous, the Southern neighborhood. This may incidentally explain the hesitation of some Europeans. Where are the priorities? How to respond? Is the priority the Islamic threat in the south, or is it Putin? So can you handle both at the same time? How? Etc. But the main difference is that Ukraine, eastern neighbor, potentially a European country, could have the attraction of joining the European Union and use that as a leverage for transformation. And this is where the ambiguity or misunderstanding was. The EU was proposing an association agreement, which, when you look at it, was a reasonably modest proposal. I mean, what's in it? You open trade, you open your market in exchange for Ukraine adopting European norms of governance. That's one. The second was mobility, flexible visa policy, etc. And the third one was financial aid for reform. That looks like quite a minimalist program. This is not a revolution. It triggered a revolution, or it helped to trigger a revolution, because what was at stake then, beyond the European question, was a regime question, was a Yanukovych regime question, and the idea that Ukrainians didn't want the Putinization of the Ukrainian regime. That's what was behind the European question. So it was a kind of misunderstanding of what was officially on offer from the part of Europe and what actually the Ukrainians understood to be the European question. And that question is, of course, still unresolved, but it shows, and in this sense, Europe confronted to the limits of what it has successfully done in Central Europe, how far it can extend it, when it reaches the response of Russia and Putin. And the Russian response has to be understood as the regime question. They understood that the change of regime in Kiev was actually perceived by them as a threat, as a possible precedent for Russia itself. So